Good evening. How are y'all doing? Y'all gonna have to get a lot livelier than that. My name is Jackie Harling, and I'm the 14th Congressional District Republican Party Chairman. It is so good to see this room filled with people who care. Before we begin tonight's forum, I want to say something about what the Republican Party really is. The GOP is not a building. It's not a brand. It's not a title. It's people. It's men and women who work full-time jobs, raise families, deal with health challenges, walk through loss, carry responsibilities nobody else sees. But they still show up, unpaid, uncelebrated, but committed. Every county is a little different. Every district has its own personality. That's because the party is built from the ground up by neighbors. And here in the 14th district, we care enough to show up. We care enough to host forums. We care enough to listen. We care enough to get this right. Like any family, we've had our ups and downs. Different opinions, different leaders, different ideas about how things should be done. That's normal. That's human. But when I look out at this room tonight, I don't see establishment. I don't see just grassroots. I don't see factions. I see friends. And if you're here tonight, you're family. Thank you for being here. And thank you for being family. Families don't always agree on every tactic, but families show up when it matters. This matters. This district matters. This seat matters. And we are not going to hand it over. Tonight is about hearing from the men and women who are willing to step forward and fight for Georgia's 14th district. We pray for wisdom for every candidate. We pray for discernment for every voter. And we pray for unity in the days ahead. Let's be respectful, let's be engaged, and when this is over, let's go win. Before I tell everyone how this is going to go down, I would like to introduce, where is she? We're going to have a Vanna White tonight, y'all. We have the best Vanna White in all the world, and I want y'all to give her a big hand. Her name is Miss Diane Putnam. Tonight's forum will proceed in a structured and disciplined format to ensure fairness and equal treatment for every candidate. Please welcome our moderators for this evening's event. First of all, the 14th District GOP Assistant Treasurer, Mr. Gavin Swafford. And the Whitfield County GOP Chairman, Mr. McCray Kyer. Candidate speaking order has been determined and will be determined by blind draw, and Miss Diane Putnam will draw a name between every candidate. When your name is drawn, you will come immediately to the podium and deliver a 30-second introduction, and then 3 questions will be asked by Mr. Swafford, Mr. Kyer, with 1 minute to respond to each question. After answering your 3rd question, you will exit the stage immediately. There will be no closing statement at that time. Once all candidates have completed the question portion, I will invite everyone back to the stage for 30-second closing statements. delivered in the same blind draw order. A visible countdown timer is positioned in front of you. Raise your hand, Ms. Pam Peters. She will be the boss. She's our Floyd County Chairman, and she's good at doing that. At time expiration, you're expected to conclude immediately. She'll give you a 30-second warning and let you know when your time is up. These rules apply equally to every candidate. There will be no extensions and no rebuttals. We will maintain a respectful and professional tone throughout the evening, and we will conclude promptly at 9 p.m. Before we begin our candidate portion tonight, we're going to hear briefly from a good friend of mine who needs to be walking up here. Y'all give a good hand to Mr. Roy Hamrick.
Appreciate the 14th District for everything that they've done to put this on. I know the first one got snowed out. Appreciate all the candidates. A lot of people are like, oh, jungle primary. It is, it's rough. But you got to remember that Marjorie Taylor Greene was the one that broke that cycle, that sort of establishment cycle of politics. And that's why we have all these candidates. So it's actually been really cool to meet new people and to listen to everybody's messages. So I know it's rough, but these could be future people that will be boots on the ground as we try to straighten out the mess we're in. So I appreciate everybody being here tonight. We are live streaming, and a lot of beautiful people out here as we move forward in this jungle primary. So thank y'all.
So I'm going to invite Ms. Diane Putnam to draw for our first candidate, and then I'm going to turn this over to Mr. Gavin Swafford. Y'all ready? This is going to be fun. All right. And I just, before she comes up here, while she's coming up here, I want to thank all the candidates and their teams and their supporters and everyone for coming out tonight, and I hope you enjoy it. Ms. Diane Putnam.
The first candidate that we're going to hear from is Marty Brown. Marty, how are you? Come on up.
Hello everyone, I'm Marty Brown. I'm a longtime resident of Whitfield County, been here since 1984. I'm a career firefighter. I've been in the fire service since 1991. I started out in Whitfield County. Spent 20 years down at the city of Smyrna, where I was a lieutenant paramedic down there. I also worked on the ambulance here in Dalton, serving the local community here. As you can tell, I'm real big on public safety and security as far as taking care of the people of the county with health care. I also support law enforcement. And I'm cut off. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. The first question will be from Mr. McCray-Kyrie.
Okay.
President Trump and several members of Congress have called on the defunding or abolishing the U.S. Department of Education, returning authority over education almost entirely to the states. If elected to represent the 14th District, would you support defunding or dismantling the Department of Education, alternatively using federal dollars to provide block grants for state-led education?
Yeah, I think moving the education back to the state level would be a great idea. It's got to be done slowly so we can get regulations and stuff put in place in every state. But everybody knows the federal government gets involved in a lot of stuff they don't need to be in. I think everybody would be better off if we got the education back in the hands of the state so we can get our kids educated with what they need to be learning instead of DEI and CRT and all this other crazy stuff.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Your next question. In 2025, a report was published by the Harvard Kennedy School Institute of Politics detailing the top lifetime priorities of young Americans aged 18 to 30. Across the political spectrum, the top 3 issues were financial security, home ownership, and finding a lifelong partner, all intrinsically tied to affordability. If you were elected to be the next congressman of the 14th district, how would you address the ongoing affordability and home ownership crisis aside from lowering inflation?
Okay, right now with the housing and the home ownership problem, the prices drove way up during COVID and everything, and people started buying everything in the world they could. And then the real estate agents, they want to jack the prices up because they make more money. And then you got a lot of people with the illegals that came into the states. They flooded and they took up a whole lot more housing, so they created a housing crisis, and that drove the prices of property up even higher. And even with the inflation, I can imagine what the young folks are going through trying to buy a home in this day and time. I know I would hate to buy another one myself. But I think once we get rid of a bunch of the illegals that aren't supposed to be here, and we get everything settled down from that, I think housing prices are going to stabilize and the economy is going to stabilize, and we're going to get a lot more money back in people's pockets, and people are going to be able to afford to get a house.
McCray, back to you.
Cracking down on illegal immigration has been a priority during both Trump administrations. If elected, would you continue to support the president's efforts with increased funding for ICE? Additionally, are there any conditions under which you would support granting amnesty to illegal aliens, or do you support mass deportations?
That's a really good question. We do have a lot of people here that are illegal, that are working, and they're contributing to society. They have good jobs, they bought houses, they live here, they raised a family here, but for some reason, some of them haven't tried to get their citizenship, which there might be a reason, I don't know, that's deeper than my knowledge. But yeah, we need to definitely get all the illegals out, and I like the way they're doing it, starting with the criminals that aren't supposed to be here. They're getting arrested, they're out getting DUIs and having wrecks and killing people and doing crime. But with that said, Trump's doing a great job getting rid of those folks. And on the other side, there needs to be a express pathway for the ones that are good people that have been here and they're doing things like they're supposed to, and they came here for the right reasons, just to be good Americans and contribute to society. So that'd be something we need to work on.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Let's give him a hand.
Clay Fuller is our second candidate to come up.
My name is Clay Fuller, and I'm asking for your vote in the straw poll and on March 10th. If you're looking for a warrior for Northwest Georgia, someone who's going to be fighting on Capitol Hill each and every day for you, I'm asking for your vote. If you're looking for someone who cares about faith, duty, and America first, I'm asking for your vote. And the last Wednesday, President Trump gave me a call and endorsed our campaign. If you want to 100% support President Trump, I'm asking for your vote in this straw poll on March 10th. My name is Clay Fuller.
Mr. Fuller, I'll have your first question. A majority of candidates have stated throughout this race that they would support President Trump or be President Trump's #1 defender. If you were elected to be the next congressman of this district and serve for a total of 8 years, you would only serve under the Trump administration for approximately 2.5 years, meaning that a majority of your term would be under a different president. Aside from being the president's #1 supporter and endorsed candidate, what is your #1 policy issue that you wish to address as our next congressman?
Well, so as an elected district attorney just north of here in the Lookout Mountain Judicial Circuit, and each and every day, and I know so many families in this room right now have been impacted by the fentanyl crisis. We've lost family, we've lost friends. That was the #1 issue that I was fighting to make sure that we were locking up the fentanyl traffickers in our community. So when I talk about the #1 issue that I couldn't fix as the elected district attorney, I want to get on Capitol Hill to make sure that I'm fighting for President Trump's policies to make sure that we're securing the border. Because that is the #1 killer, 18 to 40 for Americans, is fentanyl. That should be stopping. And the other thing, it goes beyond just that issue related to the border. It also goes to our national security. The America First policy that President Trump has put in place is best embodied by what you saw with the Nicolas Maduro raid, by snatching him up. If there are people who are part of a cartel that's poisoning and killing Americans, I'm going to support President Trump in making sure we're snatching those people up and bringing them to our country to prosecute them.
I have your next question. Geopolitics and diplomacy with foreign nations fluctuates over time. Once a rebellious colony across the Atlantic, the United States and the United Kingdom now tout a special relationship between one another. This is one such example of changing geopolitics. Which nation, if any, do you currently consider to be the greatest ally of the United States, and why?
Well, I think, and this goes to my wife is back there. She grew up in the United Kingdom. I think it will remain the United Kingdom, but we have to have an understanding that their immigration policies are changing that country. And we have to have an honest conversation with them and say, look, what you're doing to your society by divorcing yourself from the Western civilization ideals that made this country great, you need to have an honest conversation about that. So over time, those relationships may change. And what you're seeing with what President Trump is doing with the Don Road Doctrine, by reinforcing that we need to focus on our own hemisphere, is also an important place. So a country like Colombia is a very good example. I traveled there in the first Trump administration with Ambassador Robert O'Brien, because we were trying to make sure that cocaine wasn't coming into the United States. If y'all don't understand how many overdoses are killing Americans with cocaine, you need to look up those statistics. Colombia is an incredible partner with us, so we need to better partner both with our traditional allies like the United Kingdom, but focus more on that Don Road Doctrine, making sure that we have allies in our hemisphere as well.
Last question, Mr. Fuller. HHS Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. recently updated the official United States immunization schedule, which reduced the number of recommended childhood vaccination injections from 72 to 11. While this is an encouraging milestone for the Make America Healthy Again movement, many parents are concerned that revealing the vaccination status of their children could result in having their children taken by Child Protective Services under the medical neglect clause. If you were elected as the next congressman of the 14th District, would you support legislation to provide parents with legal protection should they choose not to immunize their children?
Absolutely. No, we want parents to be able to be the parents to their children. The federal government should not be involved in anything related to parenting or medical decisions like that. And I applaud the changes that RFK is making. And this is a personal fight for me. For those of you that don't know from the materials that we have here, I was diagnosed with cancer at 31. If you need to look up an issue that's controversial in this community, look up thyroid cancer rates in Northeast Georgia. It's 3 to 4 times the national average. So I want Americans to be healthy. I want them to make their own health care decisions for them. And I don't want the federal government being up, because I'm the only candidate on the stage who's had a medical treatment under a single-payer government healthcare system, and it was terrible. The only person who saved my life is back there. That woman, my wife Kate, was the nurse who saved my life because she wouldn't leave the ICU room in that government medical facility.
Thank you, Mr. Fuller. Let's give him a hand.
Let's hear now from candidate Tom Gray.
Mr. Tom Gray.
Well, good evening. My name is Tom Gray. I am a pastor, and I am running because we are in a battle for the very soul of our nation and the future we're going to hand off to our children and grandchildren. I'm running because I understand the nature of the battle. It is ideological and spiritual, not primarily political. I'm running because I understand the path forward is a fresh and disciplined application of pure conservatism, which is biblical conservatism. I believe I'm uniquely qualified to be the servant leader this district needs.
Okay, I have your first question, Mr. Gray. Since 1973, abortion has claimed the lives of 63 million innocent preborn children in the United States alone. Though Roe v. Wade was overturned in 2022, abortion is still legal in the United States and in the state of Georgia. Would you support a federal bill to totally ban abortion in the United States, regardless of the circumstances of the pregnancy?
Yes, absolutely. That's a super easy one. And getting back to the principles upon which this nation was founded is the path forward. The chief of all conservative principles, which means biblically rooted principles, was outlined for us very clearly in the Declaration of Independence. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal and endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, and among those are, and the first is, life. It's a statement. We believe in God, and our rights don't come from government, they come from God, and government must respect that. All human life. Human beings are made in the image of God. There's a sanctity to it. We have to, and we don't make exceptions. One crime that happened isn't remedied by the crime of murder to cover it. So, yes, sir, absolutely, 100% of the time.
Mr. Gray, under the current Trump administration, the foreign policy of the United States is undergoing drastic change from post-Cold War geopolitics. From disarming Iran's nuclear program in a joint operation with Israel, the strategic extraction and arrest of Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro, consistent jabs at European allies over defense spending and NATO involvement, and with recent comments over the potential purchase or annexation of Greenland, the U.S. is being seen by foreign leaders as a competitor rather than an ally. What are your thoughts on this issue?
Well, I 100% support President Trump's foreign policy and the efforts that he has made. The revitalization, the fresh commitment to indeed what was the Monroe Doctrine, where we cannot let China, Russia, Iran put military bases or find other footholds in our hemisphere. Absolutely. Ukraine, for example, getting our European allies to shoulder more of the load to assist the Ukraine, requiring some reciprocation, some payment, some benefit to us for any and all help that we give them is wise. It's the right way to go. Now, you kind of, I think the last part of the question was posing, we've got some rub there maybe with our traditional allies. Well, President Trump is the ultimate negotiator, and he's fun to watch work at times, and so I don't know that there's a rub that's going to produce long-term damage. I think it's going to produce long-term benefit.
I have another question.
Yes, sir.
Federal and joint federal-state law enforcement agencies routinely seize property through civil asset forfeiture without criminal convictions. Do you believe this practice violates due process, and would you support ending or sharply restricting civil asset forfeiture at the federal level?
So, I don't know of the specific proposals or whatnot that you are referring to. So, in principle, and here's why I believe that I'm the guy to go represent us. Whatever the cases are, whatever the instances are that we're facing today, they're going to be different in the future. So, what I'll give you is my principles that underline my approach to whatever the specifics end up being. And so, we have to guard ruthlessly the freedoms of the individual, the freedom to own property, the respect of the private property ownership is not just a luxury or benefit of our lives as Americans. It is central to what it means to be an American. So anything the government does or anything the government's considering doing, better take that into account ruthlessly and rigorously. So,
Thank you, Mr. Gray. Mr. Stover.
You'll hear from Brian next.
Unfortunately, not
Oh,
right.
no, you're not. Okay. You just tell me. Always makes.
So obviously, I am not Mr. Stover. Unfortunately, we had a conflicting event tonight, something that we had planned right around the beginning of the year, and we had already moved it once. And it would have been extremely rude for us to do that again. He does express his sincere apologies for this because he really wanted to come and talk to y'all. And we had every intent to be at the first one, and unfortunately that one got snowed out. But if you really want someone that's going to make America what it truly needs, I would go with the businessman, Mr. Stover.
Thank you, sir. Do you want to answer any questions on behalf of Mr. Stover?
If I have to. Listen here.
We'll give you one of the bonus questions.
Oh.
All right. Aside from any major personal issues, does Mr. Stover commit to completing his term until the voters replace him or until his term limit pledge if he has signed one?
So Mr. Stover has signed the term limit pledge. I personally, and made sure of that, I was actually the state director for U.S. term limits and their lobbyist here in the state for a little while. But as far as completing the term, if you look into Mr. Stover's background, he's done almost over 30 years of business experience. Quitting is not in his nature. You have to have that intestinal fortitude to really make it through the hard times. He had successfully made it through some of the worst times economically when it comes to our nation. You had what happened with 9/11. You saw a massive spike in just keeping a lot of the materials that really Mr. Stover needed in order to conduct his business. You saw the gas prices in 2008, where it was almost $6 a gallon. So quit's not in his nature, and I can guarantee you that that would not happen.
I have a question. Members of Congress are often pressured by party leadership, donors, and national media to vote in lockstep. If elected, under what circumstances would you or Mr. Stover break with your party or its leadership to represent the interests of the 14th District? And can you name an issue that you would refuse to compromise on?
So, interestingly enough, we just had this discussion the other night. I would say, one of the top priorities that really comes to mind with that one is going to be the healthcare thing. Republicans in Congress have absolutely failed us for the past several decades. We have had plenty of opportunities and ample time to come up with a plan to address the failing need or the failing healthcare system that's going on. Where the party had refused to extend the credits, and believe me, it makes me want to throw up just as much as it does y'all. But Mr. Stover would have broke with that. He would have voted it in favor of doing that. There's almost 70,000 households, just households, not individuals, 70,000 households just in this district that are being affected by that. So really, that's one of the issues where you're really going to see him break, because he's only interested in serving the people of this district, not party priorities.
I'm going to ask you a repeat question.
Uh-oh.
So, majority of candidates have stated throughout this race that they would be President Trump's #1 supporter or #1 defender. If Mr. Stover were elected and served an 8-year term, the majority of his term would be under a different president. Aside from being the president's #1 supporter, what do you believe Mr. Stover's #1 policy issue would be if he was our next congressman?
It would be the affordability issue. And there's one specific answer to that question, or to that issue. And as President Trump has said multiple times, it's drill, baby, drill. When you increase our energy productions, you are essentially lowering the cost for everything that we have. Because everything that we have is touched by oil. It's either by plane, train, automobile, you name it, it's touched by oil. Those transportation prices are really where you see the ramping up a lot of those issues. So increasing energy production automatically is going to drive your prices down. The other issue, really, in the last 15 seconds, we're looking at increasing housing affordability. This district has been decimated by the housing crisis. There's a complex answer to this. It's a complex question, and I've got 1 second, so thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kelly. Let's give him a hand.
We want to hear next from Colton Moore.
Hello, my friends. My name is Colton Moore. I'm 5th generation from right here in the 14th Congressional District. I've served in the state legislative body for 6 years. And I tell you what, I make all of my decisions based on, first and foremost, my biblical worldview, the Constitution, and ultimately the people of Northwest Georgia. I'll never turn over a voting card to a Speaker of the House or to a President. I will always represent the people who voted me into office.
Can I have your first question?
Sure.
PFAS, often called forever chemicals, have significantly impacted drinking water and farmland in northwest Georgia and much of the 14th Congressional District. Communities here are facing long-term health concerns, property value loss, and the possibility of decades-long cleanup efforts. Given the scale and cost of remediation, who should bear the responsibility for testing, cleanup, and long-term monitoring? Chemical manufacturers, suppliers, downstream users, or taxpayers? What specific federal policies would you support to ensure accountability while protecting local farmers, homeowners, and small communities from being forced to absorb the financial burden?
Well, on the path that we're on now, the taxpayer is going to end up paying for this mess on 3 different occasions. They're going to have to pay for the cleanup, and then they're going to have to pay for the health care, and they've had to pay for everything that's resulted as we are now. The EPA has done absolutely nothing for decades as it relates to this issue. I was watching a report just a couple days ago that says this issue is one of the top 3 most dangerous contaminated issues that the country faces as a whole. Ultimately, folks need to be held accountable. I would encourage you all first to contact your state legislators and make sure that they do not pass House Bill 211 to eliminate immunity. Another question that's been passed or asked is, will you ever disagree with your party? I've voted against every single bill that eliminates immunity, both with Monsanto and with tort reform in the Georgia legislature. We have to stop PFAS from being imported into the United States. It comes out of China, and there are other solutions.
Mr. Moore. U.S. citizenship is a constitutional right afforded to those born in the United States, to those born to parents who are U.S. citizens, or to those who immigrate to the United States legally and complete the naturalization process. Currently, Article 2 of the U.S. Constitution states that only natural-born U.S. citizens may serve as President of the United States. However, Article 1, Section 3 allows naturalized citizens to serve in the United States House of Representatives and the United States Senate. Would you support a constitutional amendment contemplating that only natural-born U.S. citizens could serve in the U.S. House and Senate? Why or why not?
Absolutely, 100%, and I would go a step further and say you should not be allowed to serve in any government office if you have a dual citizenship. Amen. Constituents, you must have 100% loyalty when you swear that oath to the Constitution to defend it against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
And another question. In late 2025, Congress passed legislation requiring the public release of unclassified Department of Justice records relating to Jeffrey Epstein, yet the materials released were heavily redacted, delayed, and widely criticized as non-compliant with the intent of the law. Do you support the full and transparent release of the Epstein files?
You know, when this first came out, I trusted that President Trump had some reason to withhold them. But as they come out, and I don't know if you watched the hearing yesterday with Pam Bondi, my blood pressure hasn't been that high in a very long time. I tell you what, the federal government has failed us on many ends. It's taken a 23-year-old with a cell phone camera to expose billions of dollars worth of fraud out of Minnesota, and yet there has been no arrest. We had our election stolen from us in 2020, and yet there have been no arrest. And the more we see out of the Epstein files, the more we need arrest.
Thank you, Mr. Moore.
Bo Brown, would you come up?
I have 30 seconds, so I'm going to talk about what's most important to me. I'm a husband to my beautiful wife, Brittany, who is a former public school teacher. I'm a father to 2 children, 7 and 3. We homeschool currently. I got in this race because I'm running as the founders intended it. I'm a regular American, just like you, that's going to be held accountable. I'm going to be able to be held accountable. We don't need another Trump defender. We need someone that's going to be an advocate for this region, an advocate for the men and women in Georgia 14.
Mr. Brown, if that's your first question. As a young adult, it has been frustrating to witness the perpetual influence and control money exerts in the American political system. In the 2024 federal election cycle alone, PACs associated with foreign corporations and NGOs contributed roughly $22 million to Democrats and Republicans, according to the FEC. If you were to serve as the next congressman, do you pledge to never accept political campaign contributions from foreign-aligned PACs or lobbyists?
Yes, that's an easy question. I will never accept any foreign money. The money, I'm a grassroots campaign, the money that comes to me comes from the hardworking men and women of this district. I think we'll go a step further to say that we need to outlaw foreign lobbyists in our congressional sessions. And I'm for that. I would definitely fight for the American citizen. That's my goal, is to reprioritize the focus in Washington back to you. Not to fight Donald Trump's tweets that come out of the White House or defend him. He can defend himself. He's the president of the United States. We need people that are going to represent us. And that's why I'm in this, to represent you and to bring back, to build up the well-being of this area. And we don't need foreign interests and foreign lobbyists telling us what to do. It needs to be completely back to how it was in the founding, representing Americans and doing right by each and every one of you.
Okay, Mr. Brown. So this is a repeat question. Members of Congress are often pressured by the party leadership, donors, and national media to vote in lockstep. If elected, under what circumstances would you break with your party or its leadership to represent the interests of the 14th? And can you name an issue that you would refuse to compromise on?
Yeah, I'm gonna basically be held accountable to this district, number one. So my first and anything that comes across my desk, the day when I get there, it's gonna be what can I do for Georgia 14. When it comes to party lines, I was against the subsidies that happened with the Affordable Health Care Act that just passed. They haven't, we've been wasting that money for quite some time. It's time to get together and come up with a real solution for health care that's affected many, everybody in this district. And let's see, but I will not break, if it's against what's best for this district, I'm not going to support it. I'm going to support what's best for Americans, and it has to benefit the American citizen either through a tax break or tangible infrastructure spending that you will see, such as new roads, underground power, and protecting our waterways, because we have the worst waterways in America.
Mr. Brown, and I just want to say, whoever submitted this, it's my favorite question. Put you on the spot a little bit. You're running to serve as a member of the United States House of Representatives. So how many days is the House usually in session?
The House is in session for like 146 days.
I'll take it, 150 to 180.
Okay, so close. Yeah, there's 400, if we want to do a little test here, there's 435 members of Congress. I'll be one of those if I'm lucky enough to earn your trust and confidence. It would be an honor of a lifetime to represent this district. I'm asking for your vote. I'm asking for your, I guess the vote's a straw poll. I don't really pay much attention to them, but we're moving the needle every day. We're moving the needle every day to do what's best for the community. We have a lot of momentum behind us, and like I said, the most important thing to me is my family. I wake up every day to fight and provide for them, just like you and yours. And I promise I'll do the same. When someone gives you a job, it ain't about where you've been. It's about how hard you work. Figuring it out and doing and making good things happen. And that's what I'm going to do for this district. I'm going to make good things happen for you and yours, and you can take that to the bank.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Let's give him a hand. That was already called. That was Mr. Stover.
I mean, I can do it again.
Thank you, Justin. Okay, Mr. Jim Tully.
Mr. Tully.
Thank you, Diane. Good evening, everyone. I'm Jim Tully. I reside in Paulding County. I'm the loudest guy on stage. I really don't need that. I describe myself as a Christian American foundationalist Because I believe that in order to move forward in this nation, we have to go back to a simpler time. When Grandma and Mama said, "What are you doing?" When there was a picture of the Last Supper at the dining room table, we said, "Yes, ma'am," and "No, sir," and we learned because we were taught by our parents.
Thank you, Mr. Tully.
Can I have your first question? The national debt now exceeds $34 trillion, with interest payments alone consuming an ever-growing share of the federal budget. Do you believe deficit spending at this scale is justifiable, and would you support implementing fiscal restraints such as spending caps or a balanced budget amendment, even if they require cutting popular programs or raising taxes?
Yes. The continuing resolutions are just throwing money out the window. We all know that. DOGE was a smoke and mirrors exercise that we found waste and fraud and abuse, and then we refunded it with a continuing resolution. We don't make any progress until we say we're going to spend X amount of dollars on one issue. No $40 million to Afghanistan a week, no transgender story time to Afghanistan or wherever it is we're spending and wasting these monies, no NGOs. This is American tax dollars for American only. Appropriations is where that's at.
This is a personal question. Both of us moderators are Orthodox Christians, and my heart is broken for my brothers and sisters in Ukraine and Russia as the war continues to rage on. With the war entering its 4th year, the death count, including civilians, continues to climb, and American tax dollars continue to flow overseas despite auditing discrepancies. Orthodox priests and parishioners continue to be assaulted or jailed, and churches continue to be vandalized. If you are elected to be the next congressman of the 14th District, would you continue to send American taxpayer dollars overseas to fund the Ukrainian war effort?
Absolutely not. My mother is Greek Orthodox, and I was christened in the Greek Orthodox Church as well. The war in Ukraine is a money laundering scheme. Joe Biden cut off the Nord Stream 2 pipeline so Russia could fund their war machine and sell natural gas to Eastern Europe. And then we instantly funded Ukraine with cash to fight Russia, who we let fund their war machine, and the circle continues, and the American taxpayers are duped. That money flow would stop instantly, and we would support Christians. We're a Judeo-Christian country. We'll support Christianity and its associated faith around this world. We're under attack. Radical Islam, socialist communism want American faith and Judeo-Christian faith to cease around this world.
Another question. Foreign individuals and entities are currently allowed to purchase land in the United States, including agricultural land. In recent years, countries such as China and other foreign investors have acquired significant acreage, raising concerns about food security, national security, and proximity to sensitive sites. Do you believe foreign non-citizens should be permitted to buy land in the United States? Should foreign governments, state-linked entities, or foreign groups be treated differently? What restrictions, if any, should Congress support?
No, foreign governments, foreign entities should not be able to buy American farmland, bulk property. There's a state issue there also. I believe the state of Georgia is leading the way to stop foreign entities from buying up housing developments and turning it into rental property. We can't secede our protection of our homeland. I have a friend of mine who's British. He's married to a Thai national. He can't even have a bank account, can't own anything in Thailand because he's not a Thai national. This is our country. They are coming for us. If we don't hold our ground and hold what's ours, they're coming to take it. And we're allowing them to do it. When do we say enough is enough? No foreign entities should come and buy our land, control our farmland, control our food companies. It's the story of giving away the farm, right? No.
Thank you, Mr. Tully. Let's hear from the other. Ms. Black.
Good evening, I'm Star Black, and I actually got in this race in June when it was not an opportunity for folks to jump in. I was willing to take on Marjorie and hold her accountable. I have retired from the federal government after 28 years of being a public servant, and I am focused on small businesses and our trade schools. And getting federal government out of the way of small businesses.
Thank you, Ms. Black. Your first question. In 1973, the War Powers Resolution was passed to restrain presidential war-making powers. Yet, in practice, it has been repeatedly used to justify unilateral executive military action without a formal declaration of war. Many critics argue the War Powers Act has not restrained the executive, but instead normalized endless overseas deployments without congressional accountability. Do you believe the War Powers Act has been abused? And if elected, would you support repealing or substantially reforming it to require explicit congressional authorization before U.S. troops are deployed abroad?
I do believe that Congress has the right to be that balance of power, to make sure, to hold everyone accountable. So yes, I think Congress should be able to hold the President and the Senate and be able to give the right of whether we go to war or not. So.
Another question. To be eligible to run for the office of President of the United States, a United States citizen must be 35 years old. Similarly, candidates for the U.S. House must be 25 years old, and candidates for U.S. Senate must be 30 years old. Currently, there are no age limits on elected officials at the federal level. However, as the median age of U.S. presidents and members of Congress climb, there is discussion of placing age limits on elected officials. Would you support this measure? If so, what age do you think the limit should be, and why? If no, why not?
Oh, that's a very interesting question. I do think we do need to have an age limit. What that age limit would be, I would probably say 75 is probably old enough to be in there, because we don't want them dying in office and being another Pelosi to be there till they're 90, or that we're actually taking their casket out of Congress. But is that age adjustable? Yes, but I think realistically, 75 would be a good timing.
Ms. Black, I have your last question.
Okay.
Each year, more and more Americans are opting to homeschool their children. Parents often cite harmful political ideologies, abysmal literacy rates, and early exposure to harmful materials such as pornography and drugs as reasons to remove their children from the public school system. As states increasingly pass legislation to fund school voucher programs, what is your position on homeschooling?
I think homeschooling is amazing, and parents are the best people to know what's right for their children. And whether it's homeschooling or charter schools or public schools, parents know how their kids learn. And it is critical that we give that right back to those parents to make that choice, because nobody can decide how their child learns better than the parent. So I completely think that whether it's homeschooling to avoid those items, we also see them in other things besides homeschooling. But I think parents' choice is the best way to go, because I trusted my mom to give me the best education, and I trust every parent out there to know what's best for their child.
Thank you, Ms. Black. Let's give her a hand.
Reagan Boggs, we're going to hear from her next.
Ms. Reagan Boggs.
It's an honor to be here in front of you. To me, this has never been about power, prestige, or money. Has to do with a vision God laid on my heart for this nation 3 years ago, and I've been so tirelessly fighting for this ever since then. This is about bringing truth, honor, transparency back to our government and restoring the principles that our country was founded on, so it truly works for we the people, because I'm tired of watching people suffer. I don't have to know you to love you, but I love you and I'm willing to fight and sacrifice for you.
I have your first question. Social Security and Medicare make up a substantial portion of federal spending, yet these programs are often treated as politically untouchable. As the next congressman of the 14th District, if elected, would you support structural reforms to entitlements to prevent insolvency, even if those reforms are unpopular? Why or why not?
So this is actually one of my favorite issues, because Georgia's the top 7 states of people going hungry, 1 in 7 elderly, because this is a giant Ponzi scheme. What I would like to do is move to the fair tax, where we can get each elderly person up to the cost of living in each state. And for everyone below 40, mandate they get an annuity at whatever insured financial institution you want. Your employer would have to pay into it just like Social Security. The average American pays in $530,000 into the system, but they only receive $450,000. That's a negative return of investment. That same money put into put into an annuity would be worth $1.5 million at 70 years old and have a death benefit of 1.8. If you divide that into monthly payments, and your money wouldn't be taxed with a fair tax when you took it out, that's a $5,300 a month check. Everyone would be doing better. Our elderly wouldn't have to choose between food, shelter, and medication.
This is a longer question. The USA Patriot Act was passed in October 2001 following the September 11th terrorist attacks. This bill drastically expanded federal surveillance powers, including the ability of law enforcement officers to monitor communications. In 2011, the Patriot Act was replaced by the USA Freedom Act, which continues to provide for federal surveillance powers. Supporters of the law claim that without it, the U.S. could not prevent or thwart foreign or domestic acts of terrorism. Opponents of the law claim that it infringes on the right to privacy guaranteed to American citizens. Where do you stand on this issue? Would you support legislation repealing the federal surveillance provisions provided under the USA Freedom Act, formerly known as the Patriot Act?
I would. Too many innocent Americans are being targeted by this. There is no more freedom in our nation, and our cell phones are the biggest proponent of that, and they're spying on us with all sorts of spyware. They are using the airplanes to target us, and this isn't right or free. We as free citizens that are following the law and doing good should not be surveilled, and I will do everything I can to stop that.
If China launched an invasion of Taiwan and the President of the United States asked for congressional approval to declare war on China, as the newly elected Congresswoman of the 14th District, if elected, how would you vote and why?
We have to protect them at this moment because, A, all our microchips for our country are provided for by Taiwan. I think they have over 70% of the microchip market. So it's critical we get that produced over here, and they're already starting plants there in Arizona. But the biggest issue is, under Biden, they gave foreign companies money to come over here and build instead of making it American companies and American jobs. We've got to start sticking up and getting everything produced here we can, because we learned during COVID our supply chain has massive gaps and holes. This is how we make America strong. This is how we provide America's jobs, and we've got to do better.
Thank you, Ms. Box. Let's give her a hand.
Thank you.
Meg Strickland.
Meg Strickland.
Yes, we're getting all of our ladies together.
I believe that the core responsibility of someone elected to this office is to help families and households feel stable secure again. That means financially, socially, and in the overall direction that our country is headed. That starts with understanding the real financial pressures that face families every day. And it also means supporting strong schools and a dynamic healthcare system. Another duty is to set the tone of decency.
Thank you, Ms. Strickland. I have your first question. If you have never served in elected public office before, why choose to run for U.S. Congress? Why not run for state or local government? On the contrary, if you have served in elected public office before, what unique experiences do you have to assist you as the next congressman of the 14th District?
Thank you for asking. So you're asking about the experience in Congress. So I don't think most of us do have experience in Congress or an elected official here. But I have lived and worked in D.C., and I worked for Senator Richard Burr in the U.S. Senate. So I do understand what goes into lawmaking and how, the sausage is made, as they say. But, it takes a person of integrity as well as someone who's willing to work across the aisle, listen to their constituents, and a real mindset of service for your people.
I have your other question. Artificial intelligence is developing at a pace that could dramatically transform the workforce, military capabilities, and global power structures. Some see it as an economic revolution, others as a serious risk without meaningful guardrails. Given that AI development is unlikely to slow down on its own, what concrete steps should Congress take to balance innovation with accountability, worker protection, and national security?
Right. So, Congress will have to think very quickly on their feet about this issue because it's already happening. But one of the issues that I see developing very quickly and is relevant to Northwest Georgia is the water supply issue. That we're already facing droughts and water shortages, and these data centers, which are going to control and administrate the AI, are going to take even more of our resources. So I think that Congress needs to speak into that issue specifically and very quickly, because the summer is coming. And in agriculture, they also depend on water. So we're going to have to decide how clean we want our water, like Colton was saying, and how we're going to use our water. Is it going to be on businesses, or are we going to have businesses be responsible for their environmental footprint?
Ms. Strickland. The federal government owns or controls large portions of land in several states, affecting energy production, agriculture, and local development. Do you believe the federal government should reduce its land holdings and return more control to states and local communities, or is continued federal ownership necessary for environmental protection or other national interests?
I think that we need to be using our federal resources for national good. So if we decide that, yes, those lands need to be utilized for drilling, for example, because we used up all of our storage of oil, or we need more refineries, then that would be a collective national need that we should use federal resources for. I think that you do have to protect things like national parks, if that's what you mean. That is a wonderful asset. It drives tourism as well, and that is a collective good for our country too. But that is up to Congress, and that would be a specific need for our district or our state and our country that we should be using that for.
Thank you, Ms. Strickland. Let's give her a hand.
Gina, turn up seat.
Good afternoon. My name is Jenna Turnipseed. I am a 22-year retired military officer who has spent the last 10 years working with budget, government contracting, and military modernization. I understand directly the fraud and waste that is caused by our overhead and regulations. Something you will learn about me is that every question you ask me, I'm going to look at through a lens of how much does it cost. I am a farmer that understands the problems with agriculture and a teacher that sees the problems in our classrooms every day.
Okay, and your first question, a little bit longer one. Student loan debt has become a major issue across both parties, and even President Trump has indicated openness of some degree to reform or limited forgiveness. Many borrowers took on large amounts of debt at a young age, often encouraged by schools, lenders, and cultural expectations that college was the only path to success. Today, millions carry significant balances that affect family formation, home ownership, and economic mobility. If elected, would you support any form of student loan forgiveness or restructuring? If so, to what extent? And how would you address concerns about fairness to taxpayers and those who have already repaid their loans?
So I would not support any sort of student loan forgiveness. It is not a regular taxpayer's burden to be able to pay for the education system of somebody else. Now, I do acknowledge that many people have been suckered into this idea that college is their only option to take on a large amount of debt. I think if we look at an option like President Trump has recently taken with fixing our credit card debt, and we apply that to student loans so that we bring student loans down to a reasonable amount of interest rate, then those individuals who made the decision to take them on can take the time to be able to spend them off.
The late President John F. Kennedy, through his administration, required the predecessor organization to AIPAC to register under the Foreign Agents Registration Act, citing concerns about transparency and foreign influence in U.S. policymaking. More recently, our former Congresswoman, Marjorie Taylor Greene, among others, have publicly raised concerns about the scale of AIPAC's influence in American elections and foreign policy. Should you be elected as the next Congresswoman of the 14th District, would you support an effort to require AIPAC to register under the Foreign Agents Registration Act to ensure full transparency in foreign influence lobbying? Why or why not?
So I would say yes. I think we need to understand any input that we're getting from any kind of foreign lobbyists. I think right now that AIPAC, a lot of the transactions that you can see, if you look on the FEC website, we can see who's deposited that money, but we can't see who has sent them that money. I know that AIPAC is a large question that I have gotten throughout this entire campaign. In fact, I think it is the most common question that I have gotten. I can say that I am not taking any AIPAC money, and I do not have any plans to take AIPAC money. However, I do think that it is also important that I point out that I believe that it is important that we still seek a strategic relationship with Israel, because it is important for our national defense to make sure that we have a foothold within that country.
And this is a repeat question. Do you believe deficit spending at this scale is justifiable, and would you support implementing fiscal restraints, such as spending caps or a balanced budget amendment, even if they require cutting popular programs or raising taxes?
Deficit spending is not acceptable in any way, shape, or form. If you look at our national debt this year, we will spend $1 trillion in interest payments alone. A gentleman earlier today, when he came by my table, he asked me if I had one choice for a day, if I could pass anything, what would it be? And it would be a constitutional amendment that made sure that we could never have a deficit budget unless it was a time of war.
Thank you, Ms. Turnipseed. Let's give her another hand.
Okay, there's 2 names left in my bucket. Nikki Lama, I'll hear from you.
Good evening. I'm Nikki Lama, and I'm asking for your vote tonight because we need to turn our country around. I'm born and raised right here in Dalton, Georgia, and I've watched too many politicians be sent up to D.C. with empty promises. They continue to say, hey, we're going to fix affordability, we're going to fix the housing, we're going to fix all these issues, but they haven't gotten anything done. I'm running because we need accountability in D.C. We need someone that's going to go up there and get things done. I'm a business owner, and we have to fix this deficit in our budget because I have watched year in it get worse and worse.
Mr. Dalton. Currently, elected officials at the federal level, including the President of the United States, are allowed to hold dual citizenship. Many Americans, including myself, view our elected officials holding dual citizenship as possessing dual loyalty to a foreign nation, like President Teddy Roosevelt said. If you were elected to serve as the next congressman of the 14th District, would you support legislation banning elected officials or candidates for public office from holding dual citizenship? And if you possess dual citizenship, will you renounce it before taking office?
Absolutely. I am not a dual citizen. I am an American. And anybody that is going to represent us in office must be an American and American only. Dual citizenship has to be renounced if you're joining the military, and it should be renounced if you're going to serve in office. I believe that if you're going to serve, you have to be focused on the American citizens and the people you represent, not any foreign interest.
Your next question. Cracking down on illegal immigration has been a priority during both Trump administrations. If elected, would you continue to support the president's efforts with increased funding for ICE? Additionally, are there any conditions under which you would support granting amnesty to illegal aliens, or do you support mass deportations?
I will continue to support ICE and our law enforcement. They are very hard workers and heroes to our country. I definitely support mass deportations. We have to take illegals out of our country. If you're illegal, what does that mean? You're breaking the law. Leave. Go back to where you came from. We want people to move here and are going to contribute to our society. Come here the right way, just like my family did, and every other family that's done it the right way.
Last question for you, Mr. Lama. Since 9/11, the federal government has increasingly governed through emergency authorities, national security, public health, and economic emergencies, many of which remain in effect long after the original crisis has passed. Do you believe the United States relies too heavily on emergency powers, and would you support automatic sunset provisions requiring Congress to reauthorize emergencies after a fixed period of time?
So our government gets involved with many other nations. You know, we send money overseas, and we continue to send foreign aid without an audit. We have to know how our tax dollars are being spent, where we're sending our troops, and is it going to benefit us? If it doesn't benefit the American citizens and our economy, then why are we getting involved with other governments? If it's an emergency and we need to get involved, then yes, let's go and take care of business. Let's come back home and get out of that country and focus on Americans.
Thank you, Mr. Lama.
Just a quick question that I have before our last candidate comes up. I've lost my telephone since I came here this afternoon. Has anybody found a red telephone with the sparkly red lemon? There it is! There it is! Oh, thank you. Thank you. Okay, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Our last candidate to hear from tonight is Mr. Larry Hillary.
My name's Larry Healy. Other than my religious background, I think my greatest opportunity was to be involved in the nuclear reactors that we all use. We had a team that was that we all use all over the world. We had a team of engineers and other people that developed the nuclear reactors that we all get used to.
I have your first question. In late 2025, Congress passed legislation requiring the public release of unclassified Department of Justice records relating to Jeffrey Epstein. Yet the materials released were heavily redacted, delayed, and widely criticized as non-compliant with the intent of the law. Do you support the full and transparent release of the Epstein files?
Yes, I do. That's all. I like President Trump because you know what? One of the things he does is he gets it done quick. There's no sense in just keep on elaborating about it. Go ahead.
Okay. Next question. What is the importance of morality and faith to you? If applicable, what faith do you hold?
Ask me again.
What is the importance of morality and faith to you? If applicable, what faith do you hold?
I hold the Christian faith, and it is important to me, although I do respect all the other, mostly all other faiths.
And your final question. Since 1973, abortion has claimed the lives of 63 million innocent preborn children in the United States alone. Though Roe v. Wade was overturned in 2022, abortion is still legal in the United States and in the state of Georgia. Would you support a federal bill to totally ban abortion in the United States, regardless of the circumstances of pregnancy?
Yes, I would. That's simple. Keep it simple. Yes, I would support a bill that would. I got a son that works in a Jewish area, I'll say it that way, and he's also pro-life. He represents that, and I do represent the pro-life.
Thank you, Mr. Hilly.
The next candidate that we're going to hear from is no longer a candidate for the 14th District Congressional seat. He is a candidate to run for a state seat. And would Mr. Christian Hurd come up and let us hear from you tonight?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Christian Hurd, and welcome to Dalton. I got into this race because I looked at the existential problems facing our country. And as a young Marine, my buddies and I have seen the consequences of an America last foreign policy with our own eyes. We live in a dangerous and ever-changing world, and I wanted to help stabilize it. After 1 month on this campaign, I realized I was not going to be the top Republican vote getter. And so, in my heart, I felt Clay Fuller was the candidate best prepared to keep our country safe from day one. And my wife and I will vote for him on March the 10th. After great consideration, I'm going to listen to the advice of some folks much wiser than I. And I'm going to run for the Georgia House of Representatives in Atlanta because I'm fired up about these crushing taxes, our polluted air and water, and our insecure elections. And just this morning, I was in Chickamauga, Georgia, in my opponent's hometown, and there were senior citizens playing bingo for canned food items to go home so they could eat lunch. I'm unhappy with this. I'm taking my energy for the better good of our party, and if you live in western Whitfield County, southern Catoosa County, or eastern Walker County, I would love to meet you, and I will stay here as long as you like to. God bless you, and welcome to Dalton.
The candidate Q&A portion of our program. If you would, everyone, please give our candidates a round of applause.
I would love for everyone to give Mr. Gavin Swafford and McCrae Kyer and Diane Putnam a big hand. Okay, so we're going to do some fun stuff right now, okay? Nobody go anywhere. It's about to get real. Okay, so I'm going to ask, we're going to multitask right now, okay? I'm going to ask all the candidates to come join me on stage for a wonderful photo op. And they're going to do their closing statements. And while they're doing that, y'all can start that now. Y'all can start that now. While we're doing that, I would like for all of my sergeants at arms to collect the ballots for the straw poll. When you got here tonight and checked in, you should have a wristband. And there are some people here that are not going to be able to vote. The only people that can vote are ones who registered in time and who are registered voters in the 14th district. We want this to be as accurate as possible. So I'd like for Sergeant Arms to begin collecting completed straw poll ballots. And I would also like some of my hostesses and volunteers to collect the passports. When you checked in today, you got a passport. Hopefully you went around from table to table and got the cute little jungle animal stamps. And so volunteers, if you will collect the passports, and Sergeant of Arms, please collect the ballots. When you have collected all the ballots, find an empty table and get to counting. Please remain seated while ballots and passports are collected. We'll move quickly and efficiently. 30-second closer. I would like to ask all of the candidates, and remember everybody, the program is not over, so I want everyone to pay attention. I would like to ask all of the candidates at once, just a couple of, I'm the chairman, I can do this kind of thing, I can go off script. And I'm going to take this microphone out so I can see how they answer. Last call for ballots. Did everyone turn in their ballots to the Sergeant at Arms? If you have not, please do so. Hey guys, y'all squish in. Okay, so I'm asking all of you just a couple of questions because I can. Do you, and just do it by raising your hand, and if you don't agree and don't want to raise your hand, you can explain why. Does everybody up here agree to fulfill their term if they win? Y'all can applaud for that if you want to. So, this I'm gonna hold you to, okay? I would like for you all to let me know if you agree that if you don't win, will you stay involved in the GOP and help us do the work? I think that deserves applause too. This is gonna be a little trickier, and this will be the last one, and then I will let them say their piece. If you don't win, if you're not going to the runoff, and somebody else is, will you help me and help everybody here and help that candidate that is in the runoff, if it's a Republican? Will you fight to help them win? I want a big hands up, okay? All right, y'all give them a hand. Okay, Gavin is going to announce each candidate, and they'll come forward and give their 30-second closer.
So for your 30-second closing, it will be in the same order in which you were called. So our first candidate is Mr. Marty Brown. Let's give him a hand.
Looks like I'm the guinea pig tonight. Anyway, I want to thank everybody for being here, the District GOP for putting on this great forum for everybody to come out and speak. On the next note, with much reflection and talking with constituents and people in the party, I've decided to step down out of the race. I thought about it for a while. It's not an easy choice, but I believe it's the right one for our community and our state. On that note, I'm proud to endorse a true fighter, a conservative with values, a champion for our families, and someone who stand up for us in Washington and fight with unwavering resolve. He has my full support, and I encourage everyone to join me in supporting Mr. Colton Moore all the way to victory. I'm not done yet. I know I'm running over time, but my service to Georgia is not over yet. I told y'all earlier I've been serving the community for 34 years. Today I'm excited to announce I'm switching to the race for the Georgia Senate in District 54. My current district senator is asleep at the wheel, so it's time to put him in the guardrail and have somebody take the lead. I look forward to continuing the fight for our shared priorities, strong borders, economic growth, and protecting my freedoms right here at home. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. That was a special exception. Everybody stick to 30 seconds. Mr. Clay Fuller, please come up. Give him a hand.
So Jackie described us as a family, so I'm going to be real with my family here. President Trump endorsed our campaign on Wednesday of last week. It is too important for us to not unite behind the candidate that President Trump has chosen. As you walk around and you talk to candidates here who say they are 100% pro-Trump, ask them what percentage they are after the endorsement. Sean Harris has a chance to win this race and turn Georgia 14 blue. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to unite behind our campaign because President Trump did, and we've got to win it on March 10th because we need a representative in Congress, not until April 7th. We've been without it for 3 months. Now's the time.
Thank you, Mr. Fuller. Mr. Tom Gray.
You know, in our unique history, at critical moments, we've benefited from courageous clergy statesmen who stepped in to call us back to our core identity and lead us forward into greater freedom and strength. We are at such a moment again. I'm running as that clergy statesman. It is time for us to send a pastor, not a politician, to represent Georgia's 14th district.
Thank you. Mr. Justin Kelly on behalf of Mr. Brian Stover.
That Mr. thing's still hard to do. Gavin and I have been working with a long time on these things. But just to close this out, I want to point out some real significant differences when it comes to a lot of candidates up on the stage. All these candidates are going to end up voting the same way, but you only have one that's got the extreme business experience and driven success through it. You've only got the one who is ultimately going to serve the constituents here in the 14th simply because he doesn't need this paycheck like everybody else on this stage.
Thank you, Mr. Kelly. Mr. Colton Moore.
Ladies and gentlemen, we all recognize the evil that we face in this nation, the globalists and everything they bring. But I have great, great hope in the future because there are no greater freedom lovers and freedom fighters than the people of Northwest Georgia. And I give you my word, I will fight with all the vigor and all the courage to represent our values if you will send me to Congress. I'd appreciate your vote, your influence, and to find out more information, you can go to coltonmoore.com. Thank you.
Mr. Bo Brown.
Bo Brown for Congress.com. This campaign is an opportunity for you to vote for yourself. See, I didn't go to Washington to be anointed by the political elite. I'm not backed by the wealthy elite as well because I can't be bought. You know, we need someone that's going to go there to do the job and to treat it as a job and to do what's right for this district. And I promise you, I'll be the most accessible representative to ever serve Georgia 14. I'll be the one that leads with a servant's heart, and I'll have your back. Thank you.
Mr. Jim Tully.
Thank you, everyone. This is one nation under God, by the people, for the people. This isn't about me. It's not about Donald Trump. It's about families in Georgia's 14th Congressional District. I picked up this staff to support you, to give us the voice we need for our children, for our elderly, for our families, for your street, in your community, that we always have faith as our foundation. I'm asking for your vote. God bless you.
Ms. Star Black.
There we go. I'm Star Black. I have been a business owner. I have started 4 businesses from the ground up. So I know what small businesses struggle with, on whether to make payroll or to have food on the table. So I know what it takes, and I want to get the regulations out of the way of small businesses. And I want to increase the funding to our trade schools, because let's face it, not everybody's going to go to college. We need those entrepreneurs to keep our towns growing.
Thank you. Ms. Reagan Box.
If you elect me, it will be the greatest honor of my lifetime. And the one person I will be solely loyal to is God. Because when I'm loyal to God, I'm loyal to you. I realize that every decision I make in D.C., God will hold me in judgment when I die. And that means more to me than anything else in this world, is to do right by you and stand for you no matter what. You can go to my website, ReaganBoxForCongress.com. I appreciate your support and your vote. Thank you.
Ms. Meg Strickland.
First of all, I want to thank you all for coming tonight, because your participation is really the foundation of what we're doing here. When we all work together, we are stronger, and we will keep the House of Representatives Republican. My campaign is about restoring normalcy. That's a government that works, an economy people can rely on, and leaders that you can trust. If that's what you hope for, then please join me. Thank you.
Ms. Jenna Turnipseed.
My name is Jenna Turnipseed. Many of you came into my table today and you told me that you've never heard of me. And that is because I'm an unfunded candidate that is running primarily on my own dime. I don't have a lot of advertising, billboards, or handouts, but I believe that everything that I have done makes me right for this position. I love my community and I love my country. And I know some of my answers might not be the most popular, but I am also willing to listen when we disagree. A lovely lady in this audience once told me, if we agree 80% of the time, we're on the right foot.
Mr. Nicky Lama.
I'm in this race because we need to see a change in our country. I'm worried about the trajectory that we're in. We've seen that the average age in Congress is 57. We have to make a change. These career politicians are living up there on our tax dollars, funding foreign agencies, foreign interests, and we have to stop that. I'm going up there to fight. I would love to have your vote, your support, and I'm asking each and every one of you to spread the word, to get out and vote. Early voting starts Monday. Appreciate it. Nikki.
Mr. Larry Hilly.
Hey, I know you're glad that I'm here because I'm the last one. Hey, I thank you for all being here. Listen, I've been in crypto since 2017. Where our country's going toward that way, we're going to a digital format in our society all over the world. And I've engineered my own crypto mining machine, and I think that if that's important to you.
we're gonna give away 2 really cool prizes. The first is a basket with homemade healthy pasta, which is awesome. Donated by Ashley Head, and I believe her company is called Meraki, M-E-R-A-K-I. I really, really want to win this. Diane? Am I picking it? Oh, great, I'm picking it. Okay. Shalina Smith. Selena Smith, come on, come on. Y'all give her a hand. Okay, so our grand prize, because I was too busy planning this to get anything else donated, we're just gonna give a $200 check. Pretty cool, huh? Okay, $200 goes to Joe Silva. Now I need to call Mr. Nathaniel Darnell, who is the treasurer of the 14th District, to get him his check. So the Sergeant at Arms are counting up the votes, so we're going to have the results on the screen for the straw poll, okay? So don't leave until you see that. And when this is over, feel free to mingle, take pictures with your favorite candidates, and get involved. I just have to say, in case you didn't know, March 10th is kind of an important day. We have 14 Republicans in a jungle primary on the same ballot, with a Libertarian, an Independent, and 2 Democrats. And I have to be honest with you, I'm a little offended that I see so many signs that say Republicans for Sean Harris. And I'm the Republican Party chairman of the district and Walker County, and I have yet to meet one Republican who is willing to support or vote for a Democrat. So I call BS on that. So what does that mean? That means we have to vote like we never have before. We have got to call every one of our friends. Don't call your Democrat friends. Only your Republican friends and family. Thank you very much. And early voting starts February 16th. You have got to vote, and you've got to get everybody. Y'all, we have to flood the polls. We have to. We cannot allow, I don't care how nice they talk, we cannot have a Democrat representing us in Washington. We will not stand for that. Before we dismiss tonight, I want you to remember what this is really about. Our families are worth fighting for. Our freedom is worth fighting for. And we are worth fighting for. This district has never been afraid to stand strong. We have never apologized for our values, and we're not going to start now. We expect strength, we expect conviction, we expect courage, and we will send nothing less than that to Washington. God bless you. God bless the mighty 14th. And God bless Georgia. Let's give our candidates a hand. Thank you. We are adjourned.